In this next video, we are going to look at creating the assemblies for our corridor and our residential design. Now, we only have one residential road. It's one road type. It's in the detail that we had looked at before right here. And I just have that off to the side, so I'm going to minimize my Civil 3D just so I can see that while we're doing the work here. So just the one cross section that we'll have to build. Obviously, if you have other roads in your subdivision, if you have collectors or different residential streets, you will need at least one assembly for each kind of street you have. Now, when I say a street, it is the main part of the road, here and here, where it's a tangent section, and you don't have any expansion or contraction of the road itself. Now, if you have those, and we're going to have to do that for part of this, if we have to expand the road, so we will around the knuckle and the cul-de-sac, we are going to have to make an extra assembly to do so. So I'm going to start off by creating an assembly. So under the corridors drop down, create assembly. I am going to call this residential road main. Assembly type, we'll just do a divided crown or undivided crowned road, and we'll hit OK. And I'm going to place it right here. And you can draw circles around these as well, just so we know where they are. There's going to be a few of them, so I doubt we'll miss it. I'm going to go into the tool palettes now and start designing my road cross section. So again, basic, we're not going to use anything under basic. However, under lanes, we want lane super elevation AOR. Even though we're not super elevating our road, this will allow us to expand and contract as needed. And my properties has disappeared. It's on my other window. Okay, so I will dock that. I'm just going to close my tool space for now. Lane super elevation AOR. Okay, there's properties back. We'll dock that. Or not. It apparently doesn't want to dock. Okay, so right hand side, my lane width will be 4 1/4. And here's a bug that I've experienced every once in a while. Sometimes I cannot come in here and change these. It just kicks me right out. So I'll move that off to the side. I'll zoom in and I'll place my piece. And then I'll see if I can change it through properties now. If not, a quick reboot of Civil 3D should be able to do it. Yeah, there it lets me. So 4 1/4 meters minus 2%, and we'll keep it at that. It'll be the same on the right hand side as well. So once we get the left hand side, once we get the right hand side built, we'll mirror it to the left. The second piece we need is a curb and gutter piece. So I'm going to go to urban curb and gutter under curbs, urban curb and gutter valley 1. And the numbers for these will be as follows. And this is just taking the standard City of Calgary cross section and modifying it. 0.165 for the A, 0.28 for the B, 0.025, 0.103, 0.245, and 0.240. So those are the typical numbers for the City of Calgary for a rolled curb. Obviously, if it was a straight face curb or a standard curb and gutter, it would be slightly different. And the last thing we have to change, the gutter slope is minus 10%. Sub base depth, I'm going to go 0, and extension I'll go 0 as well. And it seems to have disappeared. So I will put the piece in and then I will change it. Minus 10. Nothing like doing stuff more than once here. Sub base slope minus 10%. Or that could be left at 2%. We're not showing sub base anyways. 0.165. 0.28, 0.025, 0.103, 0.245, and then 0.24. So that is what the curb and gutter looks like for a residential road within Calgary. Now we're going to design the sidewalk piece. And for that, we are going to use urban sidewalk. It's under curb and gutters as well. So urban sidewalk. I'm going to place it in. And this sidewalk is actually attached to the curb and gutter. So the one powerful thing about this assembly is we can have an inside green piece and an outside green piece, or we can simply leave it 0. We'll leave this one 0, however, it works for other roads as well. Our sidewalk width is 1.5 meters, 1.5 mono walk. The outside boulevard width is 1.725. The slope of this whole thing is at 2%, and the depth of the sidewalk we'll leave at 0.1. So if we do a quick measurement on this, just measure the distance. This should be 8 meters for half the road cross section. I'm going to select my 3 pieces, right click, mirror them to the other side. So now we have our entire road cross section built. I'm going to make this larger and undock my properties now and bring that back undocked. And then we can start renaming these pieces. When we're designing intersections, corridors, residential roads, naming these is very, very, very important. So I'm just going to come in here and name this one the right lane, right gutter, and then right sidewalk. I'm going to come over here, name this the left lane, left gutter, and then left sidewalk. Now, there's a couple more assembly pieces we have to make in order to be able to have our road correct when we're transitioning around the outside of the knuckles or the outside of the cul-de-sac. So I'm going to take this green marker, I'm going to copy that down, and I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of this. Now, I'm going to make 4 where we probably only need 2, but I'm going to do the 4 just to make sure that we have all the pieces we need. This piece I am going to name residential road right side only. So residential road right side only. I'm going to delete everything on the left. This piece I'm going to name residential road left side only. And I'm going to delete these pieces. The other 2 I'm going to name residential road curb and gutter on the left. So residential road curb gutter sidewalk. Oh, that didn't work. Sometimes doing these through properties is a little bit of a pain. Curb gutter sidewalk on. We'll do the right hand side. We'll keep it consistent with above. So I'm going to delete those. And this one, residential road, curb, gutter, sidewalk on left. And I'll delete these pieces. Now this should all keep the same names, right lane, left lane, curb, gutter, sidewalk on left. Just confirm your naming before we go any farther. Curb, gutter, sidewalk on right, left side only, right side only, residential road main. So what we have done here is create some assemblies, and actually we need 2 more now. We need the curb return assemblies. So I'm going to copy these 2. Sorry, I had forgotten completely about these. and I am going to delete this piece and delete this piece. And then I'm going to take some lanes from above and copy them down to the pieces. So I'm going to copy this one to here. We'll do the purple circle. And then I'm going to copy this one down to here. So these ones here, we need to slope up at 2%, are basically the ones that will track along any curb and gutters for our knuckles and our cul-de-sacs. The rest of these are mainly for building intersections when we get to the intersection part. So this is going to be the left lane. Or sorry, actually we're not going to name these ones, we're just going to name these lanes. We'll switch the name to lanes because we don't know if it's right or left. It depends on the direction of our alignment. Okay, so we have our assemblies. We got our main road cross section. We have an assembly for residential road right side only. We have an assembly for residential road left side only. Residential road curb gutter sidewalk on right. Residential road curb gutter sidewalk on left. We have our curb return right and our curb return left. So again, when you're naming things, name things descriptively. It's going to help you out immensely. So chances are we will not need all these pieces. However, in the past when I've been doing intersection design, we will need an extra one of these assemblies. We'll have to make it on the fly. We might not name it properly. So in order to just save yourself some time, make them now. So I have 7 assemblies. These are probably the 7 we're going to need. Hopefully we don't need any additional ones, but when we get into building the corridor, we will find out. So I'm going to close my tool palette. I no longer need that. And I will dock properties along the side here. And I'm going to open up my tool space again. Let's go and start making our corridor now. So under the corridors drop down, I want to create a corridor. I'm going to name this main residential road. And we'll include all the roads in this one corridor. It's a pretty simple corridor, so it's not going to cause any major problems with drawing performance. My alignment, I'm just going to start with the main through road. And my profile, I've named one existing, one design, so we know for sure which one to use. The assembly will be residential road main. My target surface, I'm not targeting anything, so I'm going to set it for none. And then I'll leave that selected so we can set up a frequency on this. So I'm going to change my frequency to 1 meter. These aren't overly long roads, so it won't be a huge drain on resources. And while I'm in here, I'm going to add another baseline, which will be my cul-de-sac baseline, using the design as well. And then I'm going to add a region using my residential road main. Now I'm going to go and take my start of the cul-de-sac, and I'm going to start it up here a little bit. And I'm going to change my main through road as well. I want the first one to stop about here. I'm going to insert a region after, which will be the main residential main road. However, I want this one to start about right here and end where my knuckle starts. I'm going to insert a region after, which will be residential road left side only, and I'll explain that in a second. And I want that to go from here to here. I'm going to insert another region after, which will be residential road main. So let me set all the frequencies back to 1. We'll hit OK, OK, and then rebuild. Now what I have done is just created my residential road cross section, and in fact this one should be dragged back to the end of the radiuses for my knuckle. So if I click on this, it'll be back here. I've left enough space open here for an intersection. In fact, I probably need a bit more space. However, when it comes to my knuckle, so I have residential road main area, then I have a spot for my intersection. I've left it blank. I've got residential road main. Then I have residential road left side only. When we're building a knuckle, we need the elevation from the knuckle itself, so this one here, and we need to target the elevation back from the center line. So because we're going to stretch the alignment or stretch the assembly, the corridor, we don't build anything in this location. We do, however, have to build the left side of the road. When I go and build that knuckle, we can turn this off, the left side piece, and you can see what happens there. I'm going to go back into my corridor properties under surfaces, and I'm going to create a surface. I want data type links, specify code top, just build the very top of it, and I'm going to click plus. I'm going to leave it on the 0.5 and 0.1 contour interval and hit OK and rebuild. Notice I didn't add a boundary to that. If I go back into my corridor properties and I add a boundary to this, corridor extends outer boundary, and we hit OK and then rebuild, it doesn't build the entire road. It builds some of it, but this piece is left out. So back into corridor properties, and I'm going to remove the boundary, OK, rebuild, and we have our road now. We have our main road pieces. Now to do the knuckle and the cul-de-sac, we can't apply any assemblies yet, nothing will build. But what we can do, now that we have the main pieces of our road built as corridor pieces and we have a surface from it, we can add them to our profiles. So under the profiles, create from surface, I want my cul-de-sac, outside cul-de-sac. I want to add my main residential road, and I should have named it. Main residential road surface 1. Just going to turn the volume down on the beeping. Main residential road surface 1. And I want that style. I'm just going to place it as a different kind of style. We're just going to go groundwater line, so it's a blue dashed line. I'm going to hit draw in profile view and cancel. So we have here the tie-ins for our curb and gutters with relation to our cul-de-sac. We'll do the same for our knuckle. So under profiles, create from surface, outside knuckle, main residential road, groundwater, draw in profile view, cancel. So I'm going to rename my surface now because I didn't name it before. Main residential road design. So what these pieces help us accomplish is we know that this left side of the design needs to be located at the end of this in order to tie in properly and we can have proper slopes. Same with the right hand side. This is what's going to help us make a nice smooth surface. We'll do the same for the knuckle on both sides. This is before we even make our corridor pieces. We are already setting this up to prepare for that. Now looking at the slope into the cul-de-sac itself is 1.49%. We don't want these to be steeper or overly shallower. So I'm going to try and put this at 1.49%. And if we go into profile geometry, it becomes a little bit easier. We can go 1.49%, and I might just make my K value a little bit bigger so we have a nice transition at the top. So if we go 10, we'll try 15, and we'll leave it at 15. So again, this is all just making a nice smooth road if we can. We'll adjust this one after if we have to. I'm going to save my drawing now. And we're going to go back into corridor properties. Under parameters. So we have our main through road, we have our cul-de-sac. I'm going to add another baseline for the outside of our knuckle. So I'm going to delete that, I'm going to go outside knuckle. The alignment will be outside knuckle and I'll hit OK. My vertical baseline will be outside knuckle design. I'm going to add a region. So this is our outside knuckle. And I believe we want curb return right. We'll find out as soon as we build it. And I'll hit OK. I'm going to set my frequency to 1. Okay, we'll hit apply and rebuild and see if it shows us. Yes. So I have chosen the right assembly. It ties into the curb and gutters here. It ties back into the center line. However, we have not told it to target the middle, and right now it just looks like a smiley face. So I'm going to go into corridor properties, and under the outside knuckle, I'm going to click on targets here. There's 2 targets we want to set up. We want to set a width target. However, because we have named these, we know which ones we want to stretch. Outside target, we don't want to stretch the boulevard, we don't want to stretch the sidewalk or the other boulevard, we want to stretch the lane itself. So I'm going to click where it says none. I want to stretch this road via width to my main through road. And then I'll hit OK. My target profile of slope or outside elevation target. Again, this is sidewalk, this is lane. So remember, we name these so we know what they are. Outside elevation target will be my main through road design. So I want to target my alignment. I want to target the design from the one profile. I will hit OK, OK, rebuild. And as we see, the contours have populated. The corridor itself has populated back to the center. So I am targeting the center line. The contours look a little jagged. However, if we object viewer this, it is still going to be a nice, smooth surface. Alright, so unfortunately Object Viewer crashed Civil 3D. It did it twice to me now. I can't show you Object Viewer. However, I've added a viewport off to a secondary viewport off to the right with the 3D view of the knuckle itself. So everything looks pretty smooth as we come in. We see a bit of the triangles, etc. showing through, but they're not causing any problems. So that's our knuckle. I'm going to pan over to the cul-de-sac so we can watch it take shape here as we build it. So I'm going to go into corridor properties. And I'm going to add another baseline. I'm going to call this outside cul-de-sac. And we want it to be the outside cul-de-sac. This one as well will more than likely be the outside cul-de-sac design. And when we add a region, it's going to be curb return right as more than likely as well. So I'm going to hit apply and rebuild to see what pops up. And we'll hit OK. So we can see it's starting to build there. We'll go to corridor properties and I'm going to change the frequency back to, not the target, the frequency to 1 meter. We'll hit OK, hit OK, and we'll rebuild. So I have chosen the wrong assembly piece for that. But it's as simple as going back into corridor properties, and we will try curb return left. Apply and rebuild. And curb return left was the proper one to use. Now, it all depends on the direction of your alignment. So my alignment starts over here, goes up around the corner, and comes around to the right-hand side. So the left-hand side of my assembly needs to be my sidewalk, and my curb and gutter. So if we go and look at these, the left side of this one is curb and gutter and sidewalk, curb return left. Whereas the other one was curb return right because the road was on the left. So if we look down here, tracking around, road was on the left. The same targeting rules apply to this. So we go back into corridor properties. We'll change our targets. The width target for our lane will be the cul-de-sac entrance road. And the elevation target will be cul-de-sac entrance road design. We'll hit OK, we'll hit OK, we'll hit OK, we'll rebuild. And if we watch over here, this will update itself. So we'll take a quick look to make sure there's nothing goofy going on. We have our cul-de-sac, we've done our main road areas, we've done our knuckle. The next step will be to create our intersection. So just to prepare for this, and oh, here's a bug that Civil 3D has had for a number of years. I'm not sure why this happens. However, if we look at this, the target line that's coming straight down, straight perpendicular or parallel with the center line is continuing down the center line until it hits this polyline here. Now, again, I'm not 100% sure why it happens. It is a fairly easy fix though. I'm going to select my corridor. I'm going to modify region. I'm going to split regions. I want to split this from the left of the center line, and I'll click. And I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to drag this piece to the right of the center line. And as we see, that has gone away because that piece coming straight down the center line is no longer building itself. And we didn't lose any definition, we just broke our corridor a little bit. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to go under corridors. Is this under corridors? Create? No. So if we type create intersection, I believe that's another way we can access this. Alternatively, you could go through the ribbon, but I'm not a fan of the ribbon there. I'm going to snap to the endpoint of where these two roads intersect. And I'm just going to name this intersection 1. Yes, we should name what the roads are. However, we only have one intersection. The style I'll leave the same. The label we'll make 2.5. And the primary road crown maintained. So what this means is the main through road, so the one that runs east to west, we'll have as the primary road. The north-south one will be our secondary road. We'll click next. Alignment, main through road, priority 1. It's already picked the design for us. Again, make sure it's using the design. You can easily change it here if it's not. Offset parameters. So how far from the center line is our edge of road? They are all 4 1/4. So we can go 4.25, 4.25, 4.25, and 4.25. We'll hit OK. Curb return parameters. So what is the radius of our curb return? If we remember, it was 9 meters. I'll go to the next, make sure to hit next, 9 meters. We'll hit OK. We're not going to worry about lane slope or curb return profile parameters. We'll hit next. Now this is where we need to set up all those additional assemblies. So my curb return fillets, I know this one's curb return right. Primary road section will be residential road main. Same with the secondary road, residential road main. And now if we click on this, we need pieces with the road on the right or likewise on the left. So this will be residential road, curb, gutter, sidewalk on left. This one will be residential road, curb, gutter, sidewalk on right. And then this will be residential road, curb, gutter, sidewalk on left, residential road, curb, gutter, sidewalk on right. Now there's two things we can do here. We can create a brand new corridor for this, or we could add it into our existing corridor. Now, most of the time I would create a brand new corridor. However, for this little example, this is fairly simple. It's a fairly small design. Let's add it to our existing corridor so we only have one. And now if all these are set up correctly, I'm going to create the intersection and see if all my settings were correct. And we'll give Civil 3D a minute or two to load here. All right. So it looks like it had messed something up. I'm not exactly sure what, but we can start diagnosing this. So I'm going to select my corridor, go to corridor properties, and as we see in the bottom of the list here, it's added quite a few things to this. I'm just going to see what it's doing. So here's my intersection. This piece is using curb return right, which is correct. However, what are the targets that it has set up? So it's actually using my right sidewalk for the target instead of the lane. I don't know why Civil 3D has been doing this lately. However, this is not correct. We don't want to target with the sidewalk. We want to target with the lane itself. So we want this lane to target the main road and the cul-de-sac road. So cul-de-sac entrance road, and then we want main through road, and we'll hit OK. Actually, we want main through road right, 4.25. Yes, and we'll hit OK. Same thing with this. It's building the sidewalk targets. Again, don't know why. However, we want the cul-de-sac entrance road design, and then we want the main through road right, or that'd be left, 4.25, because it's the left-hand side. And I'm gonna have to go change this one. I picked right, I believe. Yep. Main through road left, 4.25. Okay. Okay. So if I hit apply and rebuild, this should update to what we need it to. And it looks like it has. We now have to go change the right hand side because Civil 3D has done the same. So I'm going to come in here and remove these two. Hit OK. Go change my width targets. I want the cul-de-sac entrance road and the main through road left, 4.25. And I'm going to go remove these two and change it to the lane. Main through road left, 4.25, and cul-de-sac entrance road design. So if we hit OK, 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 rebuild, it should update our corridor to have the curb and gutter go through the intersection itself. And if we look at the 3D view here, it has. Although it's messed up some of the triangles, but those, to be honest, are easy enough to fix. I'm going to come into my corridor properties and make sure that no things are overlapping and we have no empty spaces. So I could do that from here, but again, dragging and dropping on your corridor is extremely slow. And then we'll check over here. There's a little bit of a gap. Just drag and drop. Let it rebuild. And you always end up missing a piece. However, I'm going to check the left side now. And things look correct. So I'm going to go back into corridor properties. And I'm going to start renaming these pieces. So this is my... how am I going to name this? Northeast quadrant curb return. We'll name this northwest quadrant. My main through road. So it has the full road cross section. It's got my curb gutter sidewalk on left, full road cross section over there. So it looks like it's overlapping a bit. However, I like to remove these as they don't really, in this case, the cross section is the same, so removing these won't cause any big problems, but again, just be careful. So it's building a little bit extra curb and gutter and sidewalk piece here, probably because this road's not 90 degrees, and it's building another little bit up here. So let's try removing this region. I'll remove this region, and I'll remove this region. I'll hit OK, I'll hit rebuild, and let Civil 3D rebuild. Then I can go and adjust these now. So I'm just going to drag these over to where these cut off. Everything should still line up. The road cross sections are the same, so this isn't a big deal. And the last thing I'll do, I'll fix this after, I'm going to set all my frequencies, corridor properties, set all frequencies to that 1 meter. In fact, feel free to go a little bit denser to get a higher accuracy, but 1 meter for this is fine. And we'll see if it cleans this up. If not, this is just triangles. Switching triangles on your surface. So, edit surface style, turn on triangles, and we should see where the problem is, and the problem's right here. So this is just a simple expand surfaces, expand definition, edits, add a line. I want to add a line from here to here. We can see that updates. I want to add a line from here to here. That updates. So go through your entire corridor and make sure everything has been built correctly. Make sure it's built all the triangles. We don't have any weird looking pieces. Just check up quickly by the cul-de-sac, and it looks like it has done something a little bit weird. So we'll turn our surface style back triangles off, and I'm going to go check the tie-ins for my cul-de-sac. So if I look here, when we built the intersection, I'm guessing it Civil 3D dropped the road a little bit. So I'm going to move that down and just tie back in. And I'm going to match back into the curb return on this side as well. And then if we corridors rebuild, it should clean up this waviness in the middle now. And it has. So that's why I like to put that additional surface inside of here, just to make things work. So that was creating, I believe, 7 assemblies. We created a corridor road. We created an intersection. We created a knuckle and a cul-de-sac. In the next set of videos, we will work on lot grading, and then we'll go into underground utilities. So gravity drain for sanitary and storm, and then pressure pipes for water.